The world of Henry Stickmin seems like such a magical place, but also one where some awful fate seems to await Henry around every corner. Welcome back, my fellow gamers. This is Top 10 Gaming, and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight. We know how much you love creepypastas, and we know how much you love Henry Stickmin, so we are back with another batch of 10 more Scary Henry Stickmin Creepypastas. And this is part 4, so if you missed out on any of the earlier parts 1 through 3, be sure to check them out after. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10, After Fail. What happens after the fails? Have you ever wondered? I did, until I found out for myself. One time I was playing the Henry Stickmin game, escaping the prison, when it seemingly glitched. Instead of the fail just happening and then being offered to go back so that I could find the successes in the game, it just continued with no buttons being offered to me to return to safety, or a rewind in time. I never thought about what kind of person Henry was in life, but from what I saw, I can't imagine he was a good one. Sure, we all love Henry, but when you think about it, I guess he is typically a thief and a bandit. The place I watched Henry go to next and what I saw happen to him is so awful I can't bring myself to describe it. But the weirdest thing about the glitch was that I swear I could feel a searing, dry heat wave emanating from my computer screen. The feel of flames near licking my face. Number 9, the missing diamond. Tabby had always loved field trips. Who doesn't? It was the one day of school where you actually got to roam around and have fun with your friends and go somewhere new and exciting, learning in a much more interactive and generally more impactful way. At least that was what Tabby thought. She had been playing tons of Henry Stickmin lately and was excited when she heard they were going to a museum with its very own diamond exhibit. This exhibit, though, was a bit different as the diamond was rumored to be cursed. She made her friends promise that they go visit that first. Breaking away from the group upon their arrival, Tabby and her friends headed for the cursed diamond and its very own exhibit. The room was dark, save for a single dramatic spotlight that struck the diamond, making it shine. It sat high atop a pedestal under a glass case, and because they had bolted there first and the museum had just opened, the exhibit was completely deserted, save for them and one lone security guard who seemed pretty distracted with a game on his phone by the exhibit's entrance. One of her friends dared Tabby to lift the glass case and pretend to steal the diamond for a TikTok. Tabby accepted the challenge, making sure no one was looking. She lifted the glass casing carefully and put her hand under to touch the diamond. When her friend went to take the video, though, she realized that her flash was on. The flash not only alerted the guard, but seemed to have another desired effect. As soon as the light shone on Tabby, it made her and the diamond disappear forever. And before we move on to this next spot, just a quick reminder, if you enjoy creepypastas and you want more of them, to give this video a big thumbs up. Number 8, the multiverse. I played through so many games of Henry Stickmin on repeat, not knowing what I was doing. This story is meant to be a warning for others like me, ignorant of all the harm they are causing. Every time you play through a fail in Henry Stickmin, you are killing a part of the original, splitting it off into another dimension. Behind every game in the code, I noticed a splintering effect, and the more I played, the more splintered it became. These roots don't actually seem to factor into what you see on screen, but are hidden. But when I explored one, modifying the code so I could overlay the unseen code on top of the pathway that I was playing through, I discovered something horrifying. Henry Stickmin isn't just a programmed game character. He's in some way alive. And when you fail, you are not only destroying parts of this AI being, but also putting a little crack in even our own reality. Exploring these hidden parts of the game not only changed it, but also seemed to change the world around me. Number 7, the evolution of a Stickmin. One time when I was playing Among Us, I noticed when I was playing Polis that if I clicked on the right spot in the specimen room, I could actually zoom in on one of those test tubes. Inside, I saw what appeared to be floating bits of sticks and moved my cursor around, exploring its contents. I noticed a more formed Stickman. One looked like one of the pets, but another looked more detailed. It looked like a version of Charlie, but a bit more faded and with a few limbs missing. Is it possible that the stick people from the Henry Stickmin games Are the Among Us crewmates or imposters former test subjects? Did they experiment on their pets and end up evolving them? Number 6, blood-soaked action. Usually when I go shopping with my parents, I try to get them to visit the toy section. It's tricky to do sometimes, but it's in the same plaza, so not impossible. I was on my best behavior while grocery shopping, and my mom agreed to take me over to the toy store as a treat. Success! She even told me I could pick something out. While browsing, a figure immediately stuck out to me. The last on the shelf, it appeared to be a Henry Stickmin posable action figure. I, of course, grabbed it. I'd never seen anything like it before. Taking it home, I was delighted to put it up on the shelf above my bed. When I went to bed that night, however, I noticed it wasn't there. I asked my mom if she had moved it, but she said no. The next day when I woke up, I noticed the figure at the foot of my bed. It was covered in what looked like blood. As I watched the blood swirl down the drain, I heard the news was on in the other room. They said that there had been a brutal murder one street over from our own. I looked at the figure, and I swear, it winked at me. Number 5, From Beyond. I never believed in Ouija boards, but my friend Wade had claimed that not only could you use them to talk to the dead, but you could also use them to reach out beyond our own dimension and contact those from other worlds. Like video games? I asked. Video games aren't real, my friend Logan responded, but Wade just shrugged and said we could always try. So we tried to contact Henry from the Henry Stickmin games. Hello, hello, we spelled out collectively. Was it really Henry, we asked. Y for yes was the response. Where are you? I'm making a snack. We heard something fall in the direction of my kitchen. Was that you? Turn around and find out. I could hear my computer monitor turn on before I turned around, but Wade and Logan were also still beside me. So it was none of us turning it on. As I spun around, I saw Henry waving to me from the monitor, a bloody knife in his hand, and a sandwich with bloody dripping meat in the other. As I scanned his figure, I noticed a stump where one of his feet should have been. Number 4, Unknown Logo. Simon loved playing the Henry Stickmin games, so much that he hunted down any versions or mods that he hadn't yet tried, no matter how terrible they were. One such fan-made EXE he came across offered a completely new story which he was excited to try. In this one, you were going on a tomb raiding treasure hunting expedition with Henry and the gang. At the end of the game, your reward as a fan was getting to see a logo that had never been revealed before. The logo was apparently super secret and super cool and had not been used due to the reaction it got from playtesters, who either hated it or found themselves weirdly obsessed with it. Interesting, Simon thought. At the end of the game, the logo was revealed to him. At first it seemed like a simple logo, and he was surprised to find he felt pretty neutral about it, but the more he stared, the more he couldn't look away. The more the logo spoke to him, whispering. Simon screamed in terror as the world opened up to him and swallowed him whole. His mind unraveled. Number 3, Lost. This is a true story. Please, you have to believe me. I fell into a game of Henry Stickmin one day. I don't know how it happened because I was playing completing the mission and I just felt lightheaded and seemed to pass out. When I came to, I was in the game, and when I looked to my right, I could see out of the monitor and look back down at myself. My body had collapsed and it looked like it was asleep. I had to complete the game to escape, and I did, but when I got back out, nothing was the same. The people in my house weren't my parents, nor did they know my parents or where they had gone. Everything in the world was different, and now I'm all alone. Help. Number 2, must consume energy. Dee Dee didn't believe me when I had told her I had a real-life energy drink like out of the Henry Stickmin games, so I brought it to her house to show her. Amazed, she asked if she could have some, but I told her that I didn't think that was a good idea. Apparently it wasn't actually made to be consumed, it was just a prop. My parents had ordered it online and specifically told me that it was not to drink, it was to play with. It feels like there's liquid inside though, Dee Dee observed. Yeah, I responded, but I think that's maybe just like to give it some weight or something, making it seem more real. We continued to hang out and were playing games on our PlayStation. I took a break to go to the bathroom, and when I came back, the energy drink had been destroyed, and Dee Dee was nowhere in sight. The can was empty and looked as though it had been crushed. The room around me was wrecked, the TV left smoking, the couch torn to shreds. I heard a sound near the front hall. When I poked my head out around a corner, I saw Dee Dee foaming at the mouth, eating batteries from a side table drawer. She looked right at me and smiled, battery acid dripping out of her blistering mouth, as she cried, "Must consume." Number 1. My friend Charlie. I loved Henry Stickmin so much I decided to create an imaginary friend based off of him. My friend's name was Charlie, and anytime I was feeling lonely, I would pretend Charlie would take me for a ride in his helicopter. Playing make pretend was fun, but then I got older and I decided to say goodbye to Charlie. However, Charlie didn't seem to want to leave me alone, and it was then that I realized Charlie may not have been imaginary at all, but was some kind of demonic spirit that I'd named. Horrified at what may have happened, I decided to look into demonic presences and try to do some research. I discovered that having a demon's name meant that you had power over it, and so using the demon's name, I ordered it, "Charlie, leave me alone. Take your helicopter and fly away from me forever." I heard Charlie laugh, felt it resisting, but then its dark presence seemed to subside as it realized it had to obey me. Charlie spoke, and it echoed all around me. "I've got the perfect plan. I've got the greatest plan." I felt him leave me in my room, but as I looked out my window, I saw something floating in the sky. He had taken my mother with him. I watched as Charlie knocked her out of his helicopter. What do you think are some of the scariest fails in the Henry Stickmin games? What creepypastas do you find the most frightening, or just the most interesting? Let us know in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Gaming, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, saying thank you for watching, and reminding you to keep on gaming on. Pew pew!